In addition, her body fiends for his extraordinary lovemaking. Danielle couldn't bear the thought of jeopardizing what they have just for the sake of curiosity. Why does he always have to leave at 12? Danielle quickly brushed it off, not wanting to spoil the tranquility and protection she felt at that moment, even if it was temporary. A smile spreads across her face as she reminisced about the first day they laid eyes on one another. Drenched in sweat, Justin still looked good. It was a lovely, mellow day in Los Angeles. Days like that are not unusual in sunny Southern California. You will never cease enjoying them. Danielle was seated in her favorite spot near the tennis court at Ladera Park, so engrossed in her work that she didn't realize someone was standing beside her, waiting to get her attention. The ringing of her sophisticated smartphone does nothing to draw attention away from her work. With her eyes still glued on the laptop monitor, Danielle reached for her device, but it's no longer there. Her heart pounded against her chest. What did I do with my phone? I know I brought it with me. Danielle studied the spot where she thought she placed her phone. Then she heard a deep baritone voice say,
"Are you looking for this?"
She quickly snapped her head in the direction of the hypnotizing voice, and her eyes fell onto the phone, sitting in the middle of a large, moist palm. Danielle was suddenly startled, excited. The welcoming eye candy distraction studied her closely, wondering if she was going to snatch the phone out of his hand and run like a track star for help.
"Here,"
he said, encouraging Danielle to make a move, any move. By now, Danielle's brain had processed what had taken place. She didn't know if she should be upset by his antics, an invasion of her personal space, or of all slightly impressed by his boldness. She reclaimed her phone from his large hand and set it where it was. With a look of mock anger covering Danielle's face, she looked her potential candidate up and down, taking her sweet time, examining him from head to toe, making him feel very uncomfortable. Danielle couldn't help but to be taken aback by his handsomely chiseled face. His 5 o'clock shadow is just how she liked it, easy hair and well manicured. His muscular frame stood at 6'2". Danielle could tell by the way his Nike sweatsuit fit him that he was tantalizing eye candy. He would be nice to look at with or without clothes. If only I had X-ray vision, Danielle said to herself, filled with such lust that even she was surprised by her own thoughts. His caramel complexion glistened from the thin layer of sweat covering his visible skin. He looked radiant, healthy, like he really took pride in what he put in his body. And his teeth are white as snow. He interrupted her daydreaming when he cleared his throat, smiled embarrassingly, and says,
"I guess it wasn't that important."
Danielle tried to fight the seductive smile that threatened to make its way to her face. "I guess not," she said, challenging him with a stare that was meant to bring any man to his knees. "If it's important, they will call back," she threw in a little too flirtatiously. Danielle silently admonished herself for revealing just how much she was into him as well. A sultry smile covered his face, and her heart skipped a beat. He glanced down at the empty seat next to her.
"May I?"
I like the view just the way it is." Danielle was a little embarrassed by her instant attraction to this man. She rested her forehead on the top of her hand and giggled. "Go ahead." He laughed because he knew why she was blushing.
"Ah, she's interested in me too."
He straddled the bench like a rodeo star with renewed confidence, looking directly in her eyes. Danielle gave him her undivided attention. The smell of his cologne mixed with a hint of sweat was intoxicating. "Lord, he even smells good doing a workout." She shook her head and silently laughed at her own high school excitement.
"Are you going to let me in on what's tickling you?"
he asked confidently, a little too confident. "Maybe. It depends on how I feel about you after you leave." His interest grew stronger by the second. He loved the challenge, especially from a sophisticated lady.
Not only is she beautiful, she's bold as hell. That is a one-of-a-kind combination, I must say.
Danielle put on her poker face.
He is smooth. Okay, I'm game. Show me what you got, baby.
As if he read her mind, he says,
I prefer not to further embarrass myself by telling you how nervous I am, but you strike me as a woman who is easily turned off by bogus games. You want real and straight to the point.
He paused, waiting for Danielle to indicate whether or not he is on the right track. She gave him nothing. He continues.
I'm totally stricken by your beauty.
He paused again, taking in her physical attributes. Danielle's physical length hair is what turned him on the most. He can tell that her hair is real. With so many women sporting weaves nowadays, when he came across a woman rocking her own hair, it was equivalent to the eighth wonder of the world. His heart fluttered as he watched the sunlight radiate through Danielle's hazel brown eyes that went so well with her light tone. He had to fight with all his might to keep from staring at her perfectly shaped, ample bosoms. Her impeccable shape let him know that he has a lot to look forward to when he's given a chance to undress her. Danielle was well aware that he's checking her out real tough. She obliged by giving him all the time she felt he needed to take it all in. Danielle never grew tired of hearing men tell her, time and time again, just how beautiful she is. But what Danielle had grown tired of were the reasons behind the wonderful compliments. Most men learned that the way into a woman's body was to saturate her with compliments, causing her to be interested in their pursuit. After the man gets what he wants, he'll walk away like their encounter never meant a thing. It's fair to say that even with all of Danielle's beauty and intelligence, it hasn't prevented her from having her share of players. But she thinks there might be something genuine about this man. She decided to give him a chance just to see what he planned to do with it. Danielle secretly enjoyed the little hint of insecurity he displayed while he shared his feelings. When he admitted that her beauty caused him to lose confidence, she pretends to not be fazed by his admission. It's a game that she enjoyed to play, of not letting on how vulnerable she is for fear of being taken advantage of. Regardless of the games she played, Danielle can't deny that she's drawn to this tall, dark stranger. He continues.
I would love to get to know you in every way possible, including your exquisite mind. That is, if you would permit me to.
He flashed his boy-like grin and his green eyes sparkled. It was sealed. Danielle was open.
When?
She asked. He's taken aback. His smile was suddenly replaced with confusion. He didn't expect her to be so direct.
Huh? When? I'm sorry.
She cut him off.
When were you planning on taking me out?
She smiled. He's nervous and relieved.
You were asking me out, weren't you?
He finally loosened up, letting a smile reclaim his charming face.
Whenever it's convenient for you,
He said. Then he looked as if he's forgotten something important.
I'm sorry. What is your name?
Danielle.
Danielle.
He repeated, reaching for her hand, stamping it with a kiss.
I love that name. It's a very intriguing name. That's the cherry on top of my sundae.
His last statement was a little corny, although it kept Danielle interested, to say the least. She just stared at him for a few minutes before she said another word. As Danielle remained silent, the rapid thoughts running through her mind would make a foul-mouthed truck driver blush. She dared not reveal those thoughts to him. Well, at least not yet.
Let's see.
Trying not to appear desperate, she picked up her smartphone, pretending to check her calendar. Danielle really doesn't have to pretend like she has a full schedule, because she does. Regardless of her full schedule, she would most certainly make time for him, even if important meetings with special clients had to be canceled.
Take your time.
He said jokingly, hoping to mask his anxiety. Danielle wanted to tell him she's available tonight, but she could hear her mother's voice in her head saying, never present yourself as a cheap, desperate woman to any man, because he'll never see you as anything different. She wished she could ignore her mother's echoing words of caution and be shamelessly desperate as other women. But Danielle knew she would not be able to stand herself if she acted like she had no self-respect. Okay, folks, that will be the conclusion of part 3. I will try to get part 4 up as soon as possible. To those who are returning and to those who have subscribed, thank you for your support. Those who haven't subscribed, I would appreciate it. If you did, if you like what you're hearing thus far and you see my other videos, I would appreciate it very much if you become a subscriber. Thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. And as I said, I will be back with part 4 as soon as possible. Thank you and be safe.